Hello and welcome to the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Gotkin. I'm a journalist and, with Laurent Nizri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solaris Bank, Rise and BPI France. Now, if we played a word association game and I said neobank, you'd probably reply with Revolut or Monzo or Starling. If you're a French or European SME or freelancer though, there's a fair chance your reply would be Qonto. Well, the company's co-founder and CEO is Alex Prot, and he joins me now. Great to see you, Alex. I think the last time I saw you was on stage, the last time I was allowed out the house and at an in-person event at the Paris Fintech Forum in 2020. How are things there in Paris now?
Exactly. Hi, Elliot, and hi, everyone. Well, things are, I would say, so-so. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but still a lot of COVID-19 talks and lockdowns and so on. But hopefully, in a few weeks, we'll be able to get back to a more normal life, like it seems the case in the UK, for instance.
Yeah, and here in Tel Aviv as well. But tell us more about Qonto, because the interesting thing about your challenger or neobank is that you don't actually have a banking license. So perhaps you can just tell us more about the business model and how you differ from other neobanks that people might answer with in that word association game.
Yeah, of course. So we really started with a simple, let's say, observation, which was that lots of fintech and new services were addressing consumer pains. And so you have lots of fintech and neobanks, the ones you mentioned, targeting consumers. And we realized that SMEs were really forgotten in that whole fintech revolution. So 4 years ago, with my co-founder, Steve, we started to address the SME segments and the pains that are very specific to these segments. In about 3.5 years, we've convinced we've attracted 150,000 SMEs across Europe, across 4 markets. So France, Italy, Spain, and Germany. And so we're making it easier to start a business, run a business, grow a business with specific tools that are used, of course, by SMEs. So we provide an account, cards, and so on, but also some very, let's say, business tools like help for bookkeeping, accounting, VAT declarations, managing finances as a team. So you have different roles, different user permissions, rights, and so on. And so this is very specific, of course, to the business environment. Also very important is that we're bringing value to our clients, not only with what Qonto offers, let's say, directly, but also very much by linking, integrating other software, other services to Qonto. So invoicing services, booking software, accounting software, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's really where we bring value. And of course, 3 basic things that our customers, our clients love. First, very sleek products, amazing customer support. We reply 7 days a week in 5 languages within 15 minutes. And third point is we have fair and transparent pricing. And so, of course, when I say it like that, it seems easy, but it's quite a challenge to keep on having, great product, great customer support, and fair pricing when you scale that fast across Europe.
And I'm curious to know, perhaps why you went down this route. I'm guessing, it's less expensive and less of a regulatory headache not to have a banking license. But of course, one of the things we've seen during this times of COVID-19 is governments funneling huge amounts of money towards businesses, small and medium-sized businesses included. And that money was kind of being funneled through many banks, including neobanks such as Starling in the UK. As a non-bank bank, if you like, you wouldn't have been able to access those kind of funds. So I'm just wondering how your core customer base, these SMEs, reacted or felt about the fact that, their SME bank, if you like, couldn't provide them with the support that they wanted to get hold of from the government.
Yes, so some of our clients indeed needed to have to access these government-backed loans, let's say. But it's very important also to know that quite a few of them were not needing those loans. And so for the ones that needed those loans, some of them had also, because that's one of the use cases, had also a traditional bank in parallel with Qonto. And so they usually went to see their traditional bank to get that. Or, and that's very important, they could also access directly those government-backed loans through other channels, one of them being BPI France, so one of the partners for this podcast or these sessions. And so some of our clients went directly onto the BPI France portal, and they could get access to the government-backed loans directly through BPI France. So that was one channel. Another channel was to go through crowd lending, or let's say former crowd lending platforms such as October, for instance, in France and in other markets like in Italy. And so they could access government-backed loans also through these platforms. And I think the bottom line is that the service that traditional banks is offering is really not good enough for clients to be just staying with traditional banks in case there is another COVID wave. And so our clients are much happier enjoying, a great product, great customer support, fair prices every day. And in case there is such an event as COVID, they have other ways to also get government support. And that's really what matters to them.
Has it changed your? Sorry, I was just going to say, has it changed your outlook? Perhaps does it make you think that now maybe that there are more upsides to having a banking license, or you're quite happy to see that you navigated this situation and that you kind of feel vindicated that you haven't gone down that route?
Yes and no. So no, we're not necessarily very eager to have a banking license tomorrow. But yes, and that was already on our minds, to be honest. But yes, we know we'd like to be able to offer some lending and credit services to our clients. And so we're rather working on partnerships and integrations right now. And we hope we'll be offering something soon to our clients. So, by the end of the year, we should be offering some credit services to our clients, but rather leveraging partners and not necessarily becoming a bank or a fully licensed bank ourselves, at least in the short term. We believe we have still a lot of room to grow and a lot of services and value to bring to our clients with our current license, which is a payment institution license, which is, of course, fully regulated, passported across the whole of European Union and so on. But for the credit products, we'd rather go with partners, at least in the short to midterm.
Okay, now that's obviously about Qonto. I want to know a little bit more about yourself, Alex. You co-founded the company in 2016. Tell me about your journey. How did you end up, sitting where you are, not literally under that painting, but sitting where you are and being, CEO and co-founder of a pretty big fintech?
So very quickly, I started with let's say quite a traditional career, let's say, in consulting. Worked for a couple of years at McKinsey, and then put a first foot, let's say, in the startup entrepreneurial world, working with Rocket Internet, growing a company that was called Wimdu. That was basically an Airbnb copycat, to put it very simply. And I was heading the French business, the French entity. And after that, I wanted to have my both feet, let's say, in the entrepreneurial world. So started to think what should I do next. I want to have my own startup, my own company, and really be an entrepreneur. At this time, I went to a birthday party where I reconnected with my co-founder, so Steve, and we started a first company together in 2013. That company was called Smoke.io, a very different business. There was a first smart connected electronic cigarette. So there was a smoking cessation device and software and service. So we grew that company from 2013 to 2015, 2016. It was acquired in 2015, 2016. And right after that, we realized, okay, we were happy with working with one another. So with my co-founder, Steve, let's start something else together. And we started listing the pains we had suffered as entrepreneurs, with our first venture. And banking, accounting, insurance, were some of the sectors we're discussing. And by checking, around us with other, entrepreneurs, founders, but also small business owners and more traditional, let's say, business owners, we realized that indeed there was a big pain around banking and managing finances, and that's how we got started with Qonto, and then that's how we started basically.
And I guess running a bank is almost destiny for you. Your father is a former CEO of BNP Paribas. I'm just curious to know, was he encouraging? Was he one of those parents that wanted his kid to do anything but, following in his footsteps in a way?
I think he was more, tell me not to go in that let's say complex sector overall, and that of course regulation and so on was complex, but it's of course also a reason why not my father, I mean, but regulation. It's also the reason why this sector felt like too remote from current companies' needs and business needs, and so that's why there is such a big opportunity for fintech, and that's what we've seen in the past few years. So a few years. So yeah, and we started, as I was telling a minute ago. We started our first company with Steve that was in a totally different industry, and then we just realized there was a huge opportunity in fintech, in SME banking, let's say, or SME finance, finance world, and that was not really, connected or correlated to my father, to be honest.
Well, maybe it was destiny after all, but I guess someone's quite an act to follow. But look, Alex, don't go away now, because we're going to take a very quick break. After which we're going to continue our conversation with Qonto co-founder and CEO Alex Prot. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, Alex, I've got a few more questions for you in the last few minutes that we've got, just to talk about the fintech ecosystem in general. Now, when we spoke on stage at the Paris Fintech Forum in 2020, you just raised, I think, just more than $100 million in a round led by Tencent. If anything, rounds have only grown bigger since then in the world of fintech. Do you worry that the sector is perhaps in a bit of a bubble, that some fintechs have got no hope of fulfilling the valuations that they now command?
I mean, there is no doubt that the market is quite hot. I think a lot of it is justified by the fact that the world is becoming more and more digital, and of course, this pandemic is pushing everyone, including SMEs that are our clients, to be even more like online, and you see, in a way, you see fintech, getting more and more traction, and valuations going through the roof, and at the same time you see traditional bank closing branches even faster than they had thought. So in a way, these two things are correlated and make sense, and so there is no doubt that the trend is justified. Of course, there might be a few cases in which like valuations in my sense, don't really make sense. But I think overall, it makes sense, and you see the traction, the number of clients, revenue, and so on are all going very much up, and probably even faster than expected, or at least expected before the pandemic. So, but it's of course too early to tell. We'll probably see that in a couple of years when when we have a bit more
perspective.
hindsight.
Yeah. So look, sorry to ask you a Brexit question or to end on this, but I guess the shock still hasn't worn off yet. We've already seen bits of finance, for example, share trading, shifting from London to EU countries. Do you think that in fintech we're going to see something similar, that places like Paris will become stronger fintech hubs as a result, perhaps of lower appeal of London, or is London as a fintech hub just too entrenched to kind of give up its crown so easily?
I believe, I believe Brexit will be a big, will hurt London quite heavily for fintech, for lots of obvious reasons. I mean, the passporting question is a big question. So if you're like a European fintech based in any country in the European Union, you can passport your license across the whole of European. If you're based in the UK, you need to have a UK license and then another license. So it's annoying, but maybe more importantly for talent, it's probably going to be less easy, less interesting for European, let's say continental European talents to move to the UK. And of course, startups and fintech is a lot about talent. So I think it will hurt London, of course. To what extent, I'm not sure. And so relatively, other European capitals may benefit a bit from that, but I'm not sure it's going to be, Paris. It can be Paris, it can be Amsterdam, it can be Barcelona, it can be Lisbon. Also with the pandemic, it's likely that working from home and working, remotely will be stronger. So probably it's going to be more widespread across continental Europe, let's say.
Right. I guess also you can at least get vaccinated faster in London, perhaps. But I guess that won't be a plus for much longer, we hope. But look, Alex, I'm really, really sorry, but we've run out of time. So I really just want to thank you, Qonto co-founder and CEO Alex Prot, for joining me today for this conversation.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to be back next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We hope you'll join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris FinTech Forum Communities Programme via www.parisfintechforum.com. Bye-bye.